Hi, my name is Sheryl. I'm in the studio at the Wheaton Sports Center. Today we're going to be going through a 35-minute foam roller stretch routine. You will need a foam roller, and you'll also want to have either a towel or a yoga strap. If you need a moment to go get those things, go ahead and push pause. And if you've got that equipment set up, let's go ahead and first off start out talking about what is foam rolling. Foam rolling is a myofascial release. It's an opportunity for us to almost give ourselves like we would be doing a deep tissue massage. And what is fascia? Fascia is a thin tissue-like matrix that runs throughout our body. You can look at that almost as if it's our internal packaging. When fascia is healthy, it's very soft and very supple, and it moves very smoothly over our muscles. Fascia can get bound up for a variety of reasons. Maybe there's some injury, maybe there's some inflammation in your body, maybe there's overuse, or maybe you've been sitting a lot. When fascia gets bound up, it can restrict blood flow. It can also interfere with the way that our muscles are supposed to perform. And if we go to move and there's those restrictions, that can potentially lead to some injury. I'm going to be taking us through several different regions of our body today. And we're going to go ahead and first off release through foam rolling, and then we'll spend a little bit of time stretching those areas. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's see what we can do about ungumming or unsticking that fascia in our body. We're going to start out with the area that's right in our side body, kind of our armpit lat area. We'll take that foam roller and we're going to position ourselves kind of sideline. I like to do this with my bottom hand on the back of my head. And the way that you kind of regulate how much pressure you're getting is by using more or less of your body weight. That top hand can be there to kind of counterbalance or to help you. And what we're going to do is we're going to just take that foam roller and start to roll in that area. It's not this region's not going to be all that big. And you may encounter some areas that feel particularly tight, and those are going to be trigger point areas. Those are areas that you're going to want to spend a little bit more time trying to release. You can also extend that bottom arm. That might give you a little bit more intense sensation, but less is more. So you want to try to keep the sensation softer rather than harder. And then I like to do a little bit of forward and back. And breath will also help you get through this, especially when you start to encounter those areas that do feel rather tight. All right, let's go ahead and bring ourselves up and reposition and go after the same thing from the other side. Now, typically, each area you're going to spend about 30 seconds to a minute on. If it feels extremely tense, you're going to want to back off on that. All right, so again, I've got that top hand kind of helping lever my body weight. I'm going to start out with that bottom hand on the back of my head. And then I'm going to just start to roll. Again, this is a fairly small movement. And as you go through this, there's nothing that you can do wrong foam rolling, except that you do want to stay away from rolling in any ligaments, any bony processes, or any joints. So now I'm going to go ahead and roll forward and back. And again, taking notice as to where there might be some particular spots that might need to spend just a little bit more time in them. This can be done daily. It can be done before and or after exercise. All right, we're going to go ahead and pull on up from there. And now we're going to stretch that area. We're going to bring ourselves into almost like a child's pose. We're going to place our forearms into the foam roller, our palms are in, and our thumbs are up. I'm going to let my hips drop back over my ankles. Let that head drop down between your arms. Again, not forcing this. And instead of thinking about pushing down, I want you to think more about pushing forward. Now, if you feel like you want to take it and get a little bit more intense sensation, you'll bring your knees towards the foam roller and keep those forearms up where they were. Bend the elbows. And see if you can feel that side body. And again, as we're here, we're trying to use that breath, especially on those stretches today. And we'll go for 5 intentional breaths. That exhale, serving as a release. Feeling that give start to happen. Freeing up the muscles, now that the fascia has also released. Now we're going to go ahead and pull it up from here, and we're going to move on to our next region. What we're going to do is move into more of the mid-back. So I'm going to take a seat, and I'm going to get my mid-back into the foam roller, kind of thinking about where your shoulder blades are. I'm going to support my head with my fingertips. I'm going to draw my elbows in towards midline, and that's going to allow those shoulder blades to open up. I'm going to lift my hips just a little bit off of the mat, and then I'm going to go ahead and roll. I'm going to roll to the bottom part of my shoulder blades, and then I'm going to roll back up to the top part of my shoulder blades. And just like we did on that first set, taking notice as to, is there a particular area that feels tight? And then go ahead and settle into that area. Try to breathe a little bit of extra intention into that area. Now in this, you may feel or hear some audible popping, and that's maybe some releasing of air pockets that are between your vertebrae. You can actually let that spine conform to that foam roller. And then we're going to go ahead and bring our hips down into the mat. And we're going to let the foam roller take a rest. And we're going to go into a couple of stretches now for that area. We're going to come into a kneeling position. And I'm going to place my fingers down underneath my knees, kind of in my upper shins. My arms are straight, and I'm just going to allow that area that I just rolled to lengthen out. And we're static, but within our position, we're not just remaining static. Maybe we feel a little bit of give by that breath. Putting some nice openness and release. That area, that thoracic spine on us, down into our low back. And then from here, we're going to come into an all-fours position. We'll position our hands underneath our shoulders and our knees underneath our hips. We're going to salute the right fingers to your forehead, and we're going to actually move through this. We're going to do 5 repetitions. Thinking about turning that area, pause, and then rotate. And again, turning, maybe getting a little bit more movement there. And again. I'm going to do 2 more. I'm keeping my spine nice and long, feeling a lot of space between my head and my hips. And we're going to do 1 more. And then we'll go ahead and switch. Get that right hand back down on the floor under your shoulder, and we'll salute your left fingers into your forehead. Chin away from your neck, and here we go, going to the left. Again, once you get there, pause for a moment. Shoulder down out of your earlobe. And we've got 2 more repetitions. And we've got 1 more time. And then we're gonna go ahead and release out of that. Our next region is gonna be our lateral low back. So once again, we're gonna do a sideline position. This time we're gonna position the foam roller between your lower ribs and your hip bone. So let's go ahead and start out. And again, legs kind of in a comfortable position. And some of this stuff, if you've not done this before, you may feel a little bit awkward. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become on this. So what we're trying to do on this one, you can take the top hand behind your head, and we're just gonna allow the torso to roll back. And what we're trying to do is once we roll back, feel that low back area, the QL area down there. And again, if you want to intensify it, you can straighten out that bottom arm. But remembering that less is more. And if this is new to you, be on more the conservative side. Again, 30 to 60 seconds. You're doing this on your own. And we'll go after one more little roll, kind of just going back. I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time once I'm back there. And then we'll release and we'll set up to do the same thing from the other side. And each side may feel different, depending on dominant or whether you've got some injury like we talked about earlier when we first started. All right, top hand behind the head. I'm going to start out with my bottom forearm down on the floor. And once I feel like I've got that foam roller situated, I'm going to go ahead and just start to roll. Front and back. And nothing wrong with making little adjustments along the way. And again, this is going at that matrix or that thin, sheathy substance that runs throughout our body, runs and weaves itself around our muscle fibers. And we'll go ahead and do one more roll. I'm going to linger there and just see if I can get a little bit more give. And then I'm going to bring myself up off the foam roller. How are we doing? All right, let's go ahead and stretch that area. We're not going to use the foam roller for this one. What we'll do is we'll lie down on our backs. Once we're on our back, we're going to start out with the left leg nice and straight. I'm going to take the right knee, bring it in, 90 degrees. And we're going to let the shoulders remain on the ground. I want my right arm on the floor. And I'm going to let that right leg start to make its way over towards my left. Just a little bit of a help from that left arm if you feel like you want to. And here we go. We're going to breathe 5 intentional breaths. So if you can get that area that we just rolled, just start to feel like it's giving way. A subtlety that maybe somebody looking at you can't see the progress that you're making, but you can feel that release. And then we're going to go ahead and let that right leg come straight down onto the mat. We'll bend the left knee in, left arm onto the floor, and this time the left leg is going to cross over to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and prod it a little bit. I'm not forcing it. I'm not really pushing really strongly with my right arm. I'm just kind of guiding it. And then we go ahead and begin our 5 breaths from here. Nice in through the nose, out through the mouth. The exhale breath going into that area that's feeling a little bit resistant to this. And we'll do one more breath. go ahead and undo that stretch and bring ourselves back up to a seated upright position. So now we're going to go into some myofascial release for our glutes. And how we're going to go after that is I'm going to turn and face you so you can see this from this direction. So we're going to start out, we're going to cross our right ankle onto our left thigh. And then we're going to tip into that left. I'm trying to cue this so that I'm doing the opposite of what I'm asking you to do, and that's confusing me. So you probably just got confused too. So let's go ahead. The leg that's crossed is the leg that you're going to try to roll the glute into that foam roller on. And on this, what we're attempting to do, again, is try to find any areas that may feel particularly tight, offsetting how much pressure that you're rolling into the foam roller with by using more or less of your arms. Lingering in any areas that feel particularly tight. To intensify this, you can actually take that supporting leg off the mat. That'll give you just a little bit more of that body weight to go after that release. This is an area that gets tight if you are a runner or a cyclist, or you end up sitting a lot of your day. This can get tight. So let's go ahead and switch. I won't even try to cue which side to do. You're just going to cross the leg, and the leg that you're crossing is the side that you're going to roll into the foam roller with. So here we go. Same idea. And noticing one side versus the other. And going ahead and settling in if you find that area that feels particularly tight. Remember, we've got that option to intensify it by lifting that foot up off of the floor. And some of this is going to be more intense than others. So things that are really intense should be something maybe you consider doing on a more regular basis for yourself. All right, let's go ahead and undo ourselves from there. And let's go ahead and stretch that area. Now we're going to go into a pigeon stretch to do that. So I'm going to bring myself into hands to the front of my mat, or wherever you're at. And we're going to take the right leg and we're going to cross it underneath our body. We're going to extend the left leg nice and long. Flex the right foot. And let the torso start to settle in down toward the mat. Find where is a good stopping point, and once you've done that, start your 5 rocks. Now for some of us, this might feel really intense. So there's an option of doing a modified pigeon. If you're in regular pigeon, go ahead and stay there. I'm just gonna take the opportunity to roll onto my back and demonstrate the modification for this. You're trying to keep your hips level to the ground as you're doing this. And just letting that exhale breath release that tension. Now we're going to go ahead and pull out of there, and we'll switch to our other side. So we'll fold the left leg underneath our body. Get that right leg straight out of our hip. Try to level our hips out to the ground. And no sense of urgency here. Just start to make your way into a place that you feel like you're getting some release on. A lot of times people overstretch. And when we overstretch, we're actually being counterproductive. Our muscles have this protective mechanism, a stretch reflex, where if we push them where they feel like they're going to get strained, they'll actually contract. So we're actually doing the opposite when we try to force things. We're going to go ahead and pull out of pigeon. And we're going to move on. The next area that we're going to work on is the hip flexor quadriceps. So we're going to get our foam roller back out. And we're going to start out with the foam roller in our hip crease, where the thigh and the torso connect. You're going to put your forearms down into the ground. And we're just going to roll, starting with one leg, just kind of that attachment of where that torso and thigh meet, in that crease. And again, I'm not making this very big, just kind of that attachment side of where the thighs go up into the torso, trying to hit that hip flexor region. Adjusting the amount of pressure that you're putting into this by putting more or less of your body weight in to the foam roller. All right, let's go ahead and switch into our other side, other leg. So now I'm going to unweight that left leg, and I'm just going to roll in that crease. Again, just trying to get that attachment where the thigh goes into the torso. And I don't know if any of you noticed a difference from one side to the other, but I did notice my left side, my non-dominant side, is willing to do this. All right, now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to move myself down a little bit on the mat, because this one we're going to do the whole length of that thigh. I'm going to start out with the foam roller right above my kneecaps. I'm going to have my thighs parallel, and I'm going to roll. And I'm going to roll until I get back up to that hip crease. And then I'm going to, again, roll back down to my kneecap, right above the kneecap. And noticing, again, are there areas that need a little extra attention from you? Go ahead and settle into those areas. I'm going to do 3 rolls, which is what we just finished up with. And now we're going to turn our feet and thighs out, and we're going to try to get into the inner aspects of those quadriceps. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to roll from the top of the kneecap all the way up to the hip crease, and then back down. You don't want to rush through this. You want to allow enough time for things to start to give. And as I said, this should start to feel like it's hitting a different area than what we did on that first 3 rolls. All right, so that was 3 from there. Now we're going to go ahead and turn our thighs and feet in. And we're going to do 3 more rolls up and down that thigh. This is hitting that outer aspect of the thigh. And again, you may feel almost like you're on a different body depending on what position your thighs are in as you're doing this. All right. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to stretch. And we're going to use the foam roller on the stretch. We're going to take and make our way down onto our backs. I'm going to have the foam roller right by my hips. I'm going to lie down on my back. And I'm going to lift my hips. I'm going to put the foam roller underneath my hips versus my low back. And we're going to start with the right leg being long. The left leg is going to come in. And we're just going to grab a hold of that left thigh with our hands. And we begin feeling that right leg lengthen. Feel that quad and that hip flexor. Stretch out. We release the fascia. The fascia is allowing those muscles to lengthen. And again, that intentional breath is helping us feel that openness and that release. And one more inhale here. And exhale. All right, gang, let's switch it. Let's let that left leg be the leg that's going to stretch. Let it feel long. Meanwhile, we're going to grab hold of that right thigh. Just to kind of support it there so you're not having to stabilize it. And let's go into some intentional breaths to let that left hip flexor thigh open. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And then we'll go ahead and release that right leg, bend the left leg, lift our hips off the foam roller and move it out from underneath us. And then we're going to make our way up. And it's time to work on our IT band, which can be really, really intense. So if it is really intense, really choose to maybe stop and not push through the whole 30 to 60 seconds that we'll be rolling in. Another sideline position. What we're trying to do is to position the foam roller right below the hip. And again, I'm going to take my forearm and bring it onto the mat. And this one, you want to try to stay as lined up as possible. Your body's going to kind of want to coil up because, like I said, this can be really intense. And I usually like to have my top leg folded over the bottom leg. And we're going to do similar to what we did on the quadriceps. We're going to roll with the leg kind of straight into the side, into that foam roller. And we're going to come down into right above the knee. And you're probably going to find some areas that are particularly tight. And then we're going to shift just a little bit forward. So now it's more toward the front side. And we'll, again, go after 3 rolls. Now, foam rollers do come in different densities. And if you happen to have a really firm foam roller, and some of this work has been really intense, and you tend not to do it because it's that intensity, there is some softer foam rollers you can get. Now I'm going to do one more variation here. I'm going to tip myself back and get more of the hamstring-ish area, but still thinking about that side of the leg. Using the amount of pressure that you're putting into that foam roller by offsetting your body weight. And then we're going to go ahead and make our way off that leg. And yes, we have to do the same thing on the other side. We don't have to, but we're going to. We don't want to leave this workout and feel uneven. So let's go ahead and get that foam roller right below the hip. I'm going to line myself up nicely, take that top leg, cross it over the bottom leg, and begin. Rolling right down into above the knee. You can count. And again, this is allowing blood to start to flow a little bit more freely, thus providing recovery for our muscles. Now we're going to tip a little bit forward and begin our next set of rolling from here. And if this is something that you feel is beneficial, and I strongly encourage people to incorporate this into their routine, and maybe there's certain areas that feel particularly like they're calling your name. You don't have to go through this whole series all the time. Now I'm going to go ahead and tip back and hit more of that side back, kind of that hamstring region. A little intense for me as well. So what we're going to do is get that foam roller, push it off to the side for now. And this is where we're going to need our strap or our towel. And we're going to stretch, foam roller wants to run away from me. We're going to stretch that same region. So I'm going to take my strap, I'm going to lie down on my back. And I'm going to start out with my left leg long out onto the mat. And I'm going to place the strap across the bottom of my right foot. I'm going to straighten out my right leg. And I'm going to place my right arm down into the floor. And I'm just going to let that right leg start to cross over toward my left. And as I do this, I'm going to make sure that my right hip doesn't pop up off the floor. And just like all of our other stretches, I'm going to find a good place to start within my 5 breaths. Maybe I feel like I can get a little bit more of a release. Not forcing that release, but just allowing that body to go there with a little encouragement, with a mindfulness. And we'll go ahead and bring that right leg back. And we're going to switch. We're going to put the left foot into the strap. Let the right leg get long out onto the mat. Left leg is going to attempt to be straight here. Left arm is going to go down into the ground. And we're going to let that left leg start to drift over to the right with the help of the strap. Again, I'm going to keep my left hip down onto the floor. My left hip is just popping up. You probably saw me correct that. It will change the stretch. Again, one last intentional breath here. And then we'll bring that leg back in line with our torso. We'll undo our foot from the strap and make our way back up to an upright position. The last thing we're going to do together is we're going to take that foam roller and we're going to place it the length of our mat. And you're going to lie down into the foam roller. Use your arms. And once you make your way down, you want to make sure that your head's positioned on the foam roller. You want to make sure your low back stays gently down into the foam roller. And you're going to adjust your feet. Find a comfortable distance for them to be away from your hips. And in this stretch, we're not going to actually roll into the foam roller. We're going to turn our palms up toward the ceiling and start to move the arms along the ground till you find a nice, yummy stretch in the fronts of the shoulders and in your chest. And on this one, this is a sense of just letting your spine relax into the foam roller, letting the fronts of your shoulders and your chest open up, And the other thing that we get from this is the upper traps, which we tend to have tension and tightness in. We're doing battle with gravity all day long. Now that area gets a chance to just totally shut down. And I'm going to ask you to remain there, adjusting your arms if you feel like you want to as you're there. And while you're lying there, I'm going to come on up and I'm going to share a final thought with you today. Every moment of our life can be the beginning of great things. To achieve the highest accomplishments within the scope of our capabilities in all walks of life, we must constantly strive to acquire strong, healthy bodies and develop our minds to the limits of our ability. I want to thank you for inviting me into your home today. I look forward to being able to work with you in person soon. Until then, check out the Wheaton Sports Center YouTube channel. Take advantage of all the workouts that are available to you. Keep moving, take care, stay safe, and stay well.